Hi everyone, today I want to talk to you about mental health, specifically anxiety and depression, which will lead into PTSD next week. The National Library for Medicine suggests that those who experience child abuse are more likely to develop psychiatric and medical disorders. Aisha Mirza states that it's not the bruises on the body that hurt, but the wounds on the heart and scars on the mind. There are many diseases and disorders that child abuse increase risk for, including anxiety, depression, PTSD, antisocial and personality disorders, substance abuse, and many more. It's been demonstrated that those who experience abuse are more likely to have a poor response to treatment, both medicine and therapy. As it is estimated that 1 in 4 children experience abuse and neglect, you can see not only the personal impact that this has, but also financial impact and increasing strain on the NHS. Studies show that 80% of those abused suffer from depression and 55% suffer from anxiety. I myself have been diagnosed with anxiety and depression since I was 16. The only reason it was not diagnosed earlier was because my mother refused to get me medical treatment, instead gaslighting me and making me believe I suffered from hypochondria and suggesting I imagined illnesses or made them up for attention. I have also been told by my medical professionals that my PTSD and fibromyalgia would have been misdiagnosed as borderline personality disorder had I been seen by mental health professionals or psychiatrists when I was younger. Symptoms for depression can vary from person to person, but is classified by the NHS as feeling unhappy or hopeless, having low self-esteem, losing interest in things you used to enjoy, feeling tearful, constantly tired, having little to no sleep, having no appetite or sex drive, and varying pain. This can lead to suicidal thoughts, self-harming, and suicide itself. Mind describes the effect of anxiety as a churning feeling in your stomach, feeling lightheaded and dizzy, pins and needles, feeling restless, headaches and other pains, fast breathing, a fast or irregular heartbeat, sweating or hot flushes, sleep issues, grinding of your teeth, feeling sick, needing to go to the toilet more often, changes in sex drive and panic attacks. However, the effects on your mind go further, including feeling tense and nervous, fearing the worst, feeling the world is going too fast or slow, feeling others can sense your anxiety, not being able to stop worrying about anxiety, wanting a lot of reassurance, worrying you are losing touch with reality, depression, thinking a lot about bad experiences, depersonalization, where you disassociate or disconnect from your mind or body and worry about the future. As you can see, anxiety and depression have a lot of long-lasting and detrimental effects. For me personally, I've suffered all of these symptoms at one time or another. My secondary school even recognised I had low self-esteem and put me in weekly classes to try and improve it, but never questioned why I had low self-esteem, despite me speaking to the school counsellor. These classes were completely useless. They taught us how to make stress balls, which never lasted very long as it was essentially balloons and rice. I also ended up self-harming a lot during my teenage years and into later life, but I was ridiculed by school peers, and when my mother found out, she decided it was just for attention and convinced the school not to listen to me. When I was 15, shortly before I left my mother's house, I attempted suicide for the first time by taking a lot of ibuprofen and paracetamol. I didn't take enough to do any lasting damage. After I left home and was with my ex-husband, I was so anxious about seeing my mother I couldn't leave my bedroom for 6 months. I was constantly looking for her when I did leave the house, and I couldn't go out alone and had anxiety attacks whenever I did leave the house and thought I saw her. I didn't trust anyone. I spent days at a time trying to sleep them away, crying, having nightmares and being stuck in my own mind. People could be talking to me and I wouldn't hear them as I frequently disassociated, switching between reliving old memories and just being completely unaware of my surroundings. I have suffered with low mood my entire life, and there are days when life seems to stretch on forever and all I see ahead is pain and despair. I first went to counselling or therapy when I was 17, but my therapist didn't actually seem to be interested in helping me. I felt like I was just on a conveyor belt with no real concern or help to offer. I became a lot more depressed and just couldn't see a way forward. I gave up on therapy until I was in my late 20s, and I believe it takes the right person to make you feel heard and seen and to learn to trust and open up. I still cannot do simple everyday tasks without having anxiety attacks, such as making a phone call, going to a new place, and being in crowds of people. I had a panic attack on a tube because I felt there were too many people close to me and I couldn't move away, I couldn't breathe, and I couldn't stand being touched. This led to me having to get off early and collapse on a platform until I could get my anxiety under control. I cannot stand confrontation or loud voices, and this leads to me being forced into situations and agreeing to things I never would. It leads me to apologise even when I have done nothing wrong, and I am unable to stand up for myself and live in constant anxious and depressive states, I still prefer to be at home where I feel safer but never safe. I go through periods where I need to have my doors locked even though my mother died 5 years ago to stop her coming in. I don't like being shut in rooms as I feel I can't escape and I am always hyper aware. These are just some of the constant daily stresses for me, and it never goes away. The effects of child abuse follow me even after my abuser's death. The financial impact on NHS for people like me who have been on antidepressants, sleeping tablets, sedatives and had therapy on the NHS is astronomical. This did not need to be the case. If people stop denying the prevalence of child abuse and the lasting effects. None of these so-called cures made any difference, which I now know is due to the severe and prolonged abuse I suffered. Dear Coda listeners, please start to understand child abuse doesn't end when you escape. Start to listen to what children are telling you, and not the charismatic adults who convince you it's a lie. Open your eyes. Don't pretend the abuse isn't happening. Don't be afraid to spend time with the child to find out what's wrong. Stop turning a blind eye. Be the voice and be the change.